Yeah. It will.
What window?
Yeah. Yeah, very funny, Tom.
Getting dizzy?
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, here I'm getting ready, signing out. Here's the tube tug.
Right. I know it's been here by now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's running late.
Either way. Yeah, I figured it. Here we go. Yep, he's got his bandana.
I'll come back.
Everybody there. Where'd the... Oh, there it is. I wonder where I went. Oh, there they are, right there. The tubes, right there. Everybody's signing up.
I guess we're not getting in trouble if we brought out chairs, are we?
I don't think they'll get in trouble.
Here tonight for our first event. He's going to talk strategy with you here this evening. Make sure you're on the right team side. Army's closest to the sound of my voice. Navy's on the other side.
Watch for snakes.
Tommy, you scared the daylights out of me.
Well, you're in this big field, Billy. There might be snakes somewhere.
Yeah. Mrs. Story, now I'm saying Mrs. Story. Patty Taylor was letting Caleb know about how my whole family came on the bus and then they all got set. We all got saved. Well, I got saved by Alexander Baptist Church at a vacation Bible school, and then I was praying to Jesus to find a good church, and Mrs. Annette William down at Graff come knocking on our door, and the rest, as they say, is history. Oh, there's Ben and the pastor and everybody.
All right, team captains, get your folks placed on the field, and we are going to get started here pretty shortly. So get your folks placed on the field.
Caleb's on the Navy side and John's on the Army side.
Here this evening.
Team Minutemen captain. Patty was telling me about Joe Nero, and while they were there on the mission trip, that I would like him because he's got tons of illusions on how to get connected to him in video recording.
All right, let me get your attention right here in the center tonight. Welcome to the war. This is our first competition of the evening. This is big ball volleyball. You're going to want to listen up for the rules, or else you might just end up looking like a moron. So,
A moron.
here's how this is going to work tonight. The basic objective is to hit the ball up and over the rope and for it to touch the ground on the other team's side. There are going to be many ways in which this competition is like regular volleyball, but there are going to be many ways in which it's very different than regular volleyball. So first, everybody take a look at the cones in the four corners. Army, see that cone over there? See the cone over there in the opposite corner. Navy, take a look at that cone over there and that cone over there. Everybody make sure you know where they are, because you can completely ignore them. They have nothing to do with big ball volleyball. I say that to say that in big ball volleyball, there are no out of bounds. In other words, if you keep the ball in the air, it's still in play. So Army, you can take it all the way to the bus, and as long as it stays in the air, it's still in play. Navy, you can take it all the way over there and play in traffic. Army wouldn't mind that at all, and as long as you keep it in the air, it still will remain in play. Likewise from side to side. Now, there are two exceptions to the no out of bounds rule, and that is this. If the ball goes under the rope, the threshold is 50% of the ball. If more than 50% of the ball goes under the rope, then it is dead and the other team gets a point. Congratulations, you handed them a point on a silver platter. The second thing you want to watch for is this right here, where the rope intersects with this metal pipe right here. From metal to metal is what I call the safe zone. When the ball passes from your side to the other, it needs to remain at least halfway in the safe zone. Or if it goes outside of the safe zone when crossing the rope, it'll be a point for the other team. So basically it's like this. If the ball goes over like this, you're fine. That's the way it's supposed to be done. If the ball goes over the rope like this, it is outside of the safe zone and the other team gets a point, no questions asked. This also applies out here if it goes over here, or if it touches the tubes, it's dead. It's just like it touched the ground. We're going to be doing 3 rounds here this evening. Whoever wins at the end will get 3,000 points. Now, there's one other thing I need to mention. In regular volleyball, there's a hit limit, a max of 1 per person and a max of 3 per team per possession, but not in big ball volleyball. In big ball volleyball, there is no hit limit. In fact, it'll look something like this as you're volleying the ball. So just remember, you can hit it as many times as you want. Now here's what we're going to do. Navy got their first choice of side, so Army's going to get the first possession and the first serve. And as soon as the music begins and the whistle sounds, our first round out of 3 will begin. I'm just curious, how many of you here tonight are cheering for the Army team? And how many of you here tonight are cheering for the Navy team? All right, as soon as the music begins and the whistle sounds,
over there.
Our first volley
said go
will
Navy, somewhere over there.
begin. Here we go. There's the first serve from Army to Navy. Navy team let it get off towards the corner just a little bit. We'll see how Army
My dad Marcel was
gets
in the
their
Navy.
volley legs.
Oh, yeah,
Go
Navy.
Navy with a nice hit towards
Go
the
Navy,
center
go
of
Army.
the Army
Either way.
team. Under the rope, that is a Navy point! All right, Navy starting off taking advantage of sloppiness on the part of the Army. Here comes the serve from the green machine. There's a stop. It's still in play. Tipped up and over. And Asher pops it back where it's going. All right, Army team gets it under control. Jonathan Sikma from Sussex, Wisconsin, getting a nice little assist from his teammate. And there it is. The team captain takes it over in the corner, bringing it back towards the center here tonight. Here it is down in the center, tipping it out, not quite over, almost stuffed into his face. I would have liked to have seen that. Here it is on the rope, battle on the rope. A nice shot over to the corner again, bricked off of the hoop, and it's still in possession. Back over to Army. Army's rolling it forward. Big hit over towards the side. And rescued by, is that Ryan? All right, there it is. Back over to the center of the Army team, popping up towards the center. Navy gets it over to Army. There it is, what? And for both teams trying to keep this thing in possession. Losing a little bit of momentum right now, but it's still in play. Army pops it over to Navy. Navy rolling it down the rope. Army with a nice return. Here it is, some momentum going, and that one's still in play. Tricky corner shot, rescued by the co-captain of the Yeah, that's right. Not the Coke team, of the Army team, Emma Sigma, wife of the team captain. There it is, nice attempt there. You think these folks have hit a big ball around before. Battle on the corner, and John Sigma hoping to lead his team to victory. Right now, 1 point down, shooting for the corner, and it's down, score for the Army team. Tying up the ball game, back over to Navy. Navy with the first serve of the ball game. Here it comes. Here comes the serve. There's a nice hit. Tipped over to the back ranks, ricocheting off people's heads as we speak. Nice little tap to put it over. It's on the rope. Nice stuff. Rolling backwards. Navy brings it back towards the center. And it's still in play. Emma handing it down. A little bump to put it over on the rope. Little help from Jonathan. And here it goes. Back over to the Army team. Those teams are going to have to be tricky. We've got a lot of ball handlers on the court tonight if they want to get the points. Right now it's even 1-1. Both teams hoping to shake it up just a little bit. There's the shot. It's still in play as long as they can keep it from touching. And outside the safe zone, Navy takes the lead. Army ball now. Army ball. Here comes the serve. Army ball with the serve. Here it comes. There it is, up and over. Popping up down towards the rope, and it's over. There's a nice help. Over the rope, handing Army a point. They say we'll take it. Navy now with the serve. Navy with the serve. Here it comes. There it is, tipped up and over, stopped in the center, tipped up and over. The hoop, big hit back to where it came from. All right, both teams trying hard to catch the other off balance and off guard here tonight. Caleb is going for the corner. Nice rescue by Carey. There it is, back over to the Army side, tipped over, one-handed. There's a nice hit over to the corner, and it's rescued. Two-handed smack to the side, and it's going over to the corner, rescued by the Navy team. There it is, back over to Army. Army popping it up in the center, putting it back where it came from. Everybody's really staying close to those corners. Rejected by the rope, back up in the air. We got 1:45 remaining here in our first round. Still in play if they can keep it from outside the safe zone. Navy gets the point. Had a hard time pulling it back over onto their side. Army with the serve now. Army with the serve. Army may have the numbers, but right now Navy has the point. I spoke too soon. Army with a point handed to them here tonight. We've had quite a few under the rope. How unfortunate. There's a nice hit to the back. Hopping over to the corner, and nice rescue by Emma Sigma back to her husband in the center. And Jonathan handing it over to his team. He wasn't quite ready for it, but he got it over.
But he said he was going to.
Rolling backwards, and it's down.
Yeah, exactly.
Another point for Navy. All right, Army serve now.
Yeah,
Army serve.
Yeah, you're right.
There it is, pop, and completion over to the Army side. Oh, that's in, but it's tricky. All right, Caleb Reed from Noblesboro, Maine, trying a tricky corner shot, anticipated by the other team. Battle on the road. Off to the corner, can they keep it alive? And they do. That one was in, but barely. That's the end of the first out of 3 rounds. Here's the score. Winning round number 1 with a score of 4-3 was the Navy team. All right, I need you to switch sides now for round number 2. Please switch sides for round number 2. Here this evening, we'll see what happens. Could it be the side? Could it be the size of the crowd? I really don't know. But we're excited about round number 2 here tonight. Army team definitely has the numbers, but the Navy's not too far behind. But Navy's got some Got some brawn on their team, that's for sure. All right, Army is not going to start off with the serve. Navy's going to start off with the serve here tonight. As soon as the music begins and the whistle sounds, our second round will begin. Here we go. All right, Rock with a hit over to the Army side. Navy right now starting off strong. Putting it over to the corner. Nice deflection backwards by Carey, and it's down to the center. And by down, I mean under the rope. Navy loses it to the Army team. Here comes the Navy serve now. There's the serve tipped by somebody from their team. Couldn't tell if it was out or not. Referees haven't said anything yet. They say it's in. That one there was not. That's a score for the Army team again. I'm looking for the refs when I can't see them. Here comes the next serve from Navy. Here we go. There's a big hit way off into the back. And quite a trajectory heading towards the Navy team. Caleb trying the tricky corner redirection, and they read it like a book. Jonathan back over to Navy. And there it is, back over to the corner on the Army side. Army almost, and they do. Navy gets the point. Back to Army, gets the serve. First serve of theirs in the second round. There's a big hit. Ricocheting backwards here this evening. Emma Reed tossing it up in the air, trying to get it to her husband. And here it is down the way. And moving down front, and it's over. All right, here it comes, moving down towards the rope. Stopped by Asher, moving backwards. It's rolling. Can they keep it alive? And Caleb Reed, the team captain, keeps it in the air, and it's assisted, put over by the Navy team. Rolling backwards to the Navy. And they lose it down on the ground in the corner. Army with the point. All right. Here comes the serve from Navy. Nice big hit towards the back center. And Navy trying to slow down the momentum of the return volley. All right, Caleb eyeing out the corner shot. And nice return volley. There it is down the way. Tricky shot. Outside the safe zone on Army. That's a Navy point. All right, here it comes back to Army for the serve now. Army gets the serve. All right, Army now eyeing up the serve. Nice tip by the Navy captain. Both teams trying to keep that thing in the air and keep it going where it's supposed to. There's 3,000 points on the line for first place here tonight. Navy won round number one. We'll see if Army can pull out a victory here in round number two. Anything can happen here at this point. Nice blast by Caleb Reed. Under the rope, Navy gets a point. Uh-oh, things got interesting in round number two. Here it comes. Here's the serve. Serve to the back rings, and Navy trying to keep it in the air, moving it down front, and the wind is a factor up a little ways there. Outside the safe zone, Army gets the point. Unbelievable. All right, here it is. Back to the Navy team for the serve. We got a recruit here. Here it comes. Nice serve from Navy. Army struggling to recover to get it under control again. They put it back over to Navy. Navy's trying to keep it under control, trying to move it forward. Nice! Huge hit from Caleb Reed.
Did you see pass to Asher?
Yeah, and you're misdirecting me for something.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
You put something on my
you got
pocket.
your sunglasses. Okay, good.
Yeah, you put paper on
Army
my
with
pocket.
another
Did you
point.
pass to Asher?
Army's cleaning it up right now.
I saw him, but I got the back of
one
him.
of
I
the
couldn't
two.
get in front of him.
Hard to tell. Could be one or the other. There's
I
the
mean, I did
serve.
see him, but I didn't have the...
There's a nice return, and it's down! Score for the Army team again. Army is rallying here tonight.
I mean,
the
you know,
Latter Navy is choking.
oh, there you guys are.
We got a minute and 30 seconds remaining right now here in round number 2. Anything can happen.
I mean, I saw him. You said a goatee and a beard. I thought you were kidding because your last name is Story. You like to tell stories, but nope, you're right. He does got a goatee and he's starting to get a beard.
Army for the serve. Army feeling the pressure right now. Are they going to be able to hold on to it here in this round? Here's the serve.
He tricks me so many times, I don't know
if he's telling
the truth or not.
The ball hindered by the rope just a little bit. Tricky bounce off of the hoop, and it's bouncing around. Trying to move it forward. Here comes beautiful post, and it's down. Score for the Navy team. Back to Army with the serve with not a whole lot of time remaining here in the second round. Army with the serve, here it comes. It's popped up and over. Tricky shot over to the corner. Unbelievable! A score for Navy! Unbelievable. Army with the serve. Here it comes. Hold the ball, that's the end of round number 2. And here was the score. Round number 2, the Army team had 6 points, and the Navy team had 6 points. It was tied up in the second round. So here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to go cumulative points for our final round. So that means right now, the total score, Navy has 10 points. Army has 9 points. So go ahead and switch sides now for the final round. Switch sides for the final round. Army team performed very well in the second round except for those last 30 seconds. They lost quite a bit of points there at the very last. And this is going to be our final round here this evening. Army is going to start off with the serve. Army is going to start off with the serve here this evening. And as soon as the music begins and the whistle sounds, our final round will begin. How many of you think in the final round, Army's going to make a comeback and win out? How many of you think in the final round, Navy will remain in the lead? Here we go. As soon as the music begins and the whistle sounds, it begins. There's a nice serve. Tipped over to Navy. Navy's returning it, turning it around. And Army trying to keep that thing on here tonight. There it is down towards the rope. Tricky corner. All right, you first. No, you first. No, you first. Army finally decides to put it over. And the Navy team dancing on the rope here tonight. Both teams trying to get it over. Being a little bit stubborn here tonight. It is back over to Navy, back to Army now on the center side. There it is, tipped back over to Navy. Navy with a nice hit, rolling backwards, rescued by Emma Sigma, bringing it forward. Crazy corner shot, it's good. But that one's not, and the Army team draws the first blood of round number 3. That means it's tied right now. Navy serve. Navy serve. Here it comes. Navy with the serve. Here it goes. Huge! And it's down! Score for the Navy team. Taking back the leader tonight. Back to Army for the serve. Unbelievable. Here comes. Here comes the Army serve. Here it comes.
Like a ninja.
There's a big hit off to the corner, anticipated and met with fierce resistance. And it's down! Unbelievable! It's an Army point! Wow, unfortunate. Here it is, back to Navy. Both teams are feeling the pressure of perfection here this evening, and they tried to launch it over the back line, didn't quite make it. Returned back to the front line, that was in. Barely though, and it's down! Another score for the Army. Army team. Somebody put those tubes back on there, please. Here it comes. There is a big hit. The wind is helping the Navy team here tonight. They're trying to move it forward. Wind is not helping the Army team. It's blowing off to the side. Was it 50% over? Not quite. Unbelievable. And Caleb launching it over to the corner. Carey with the save. Trying to move it back into position here tonight. And it's back in play. Crazy corner was in, says the ref. They're trying to move it back in play here tonight. And both teams trying to play the corner here this evening. And here it is down the center. And it's up and it's over. Big hit by Caleb. And the girls fiercely keeping that thing in the air tonight. Here it is, moving it down towards the center. Corner shot. Rock has it like a rock. Almost loses it though under the rope. I shouldn't compliment him. He got all bashful all of a sudden. Here it is, back to the center. John Sikma turning it around. Get a little bit of help from Carey. Carey puts it over. And it's back over towards the same corner again. And there's Emma with two. Jonathan over to the Navy team. Navy team returning it again. A little tip, puts it back where it came from. Almost went under the rope, but not quite. There it is, corner again. Both teams mastering the corner shot here tonight. There it is, back over to Navy. Navy back to Army. Almost went under. Rolling. Stopped by the rope. Return fire. And here is Army team. This has been a long volley. Both teams trying to break the trend here tonight. And both teams trying to hold on to it here this evening. Nice hit. Back in the center, John Sikma looking for an opening. Carey putting it over. And it stopped in its tracks. Down the way, and it's back over to Navy. Navy spinning it like a top. Army with another point here in round number 3. This is huge. Back over to the Navy team now. Here's the serve. Ouch. And it's down. Navy point. Tricky serve, but it works. Here's the corner shot way off in the corner. And it's down again. We've got aces all over the place. Unbelievably high-scoring game. Either their offense is that good or their defense is that bad. And I think both teams would prefer to think their offenses are just that good. Here it comes. Corner shot again over in the corner, tipping it up, moving it down towards the center. Caleb Reed grabbing it for his team. Tricky tip, and it almost works. And here it is. Here it is. Nice hit over to the other side. A big, huge shot. Ref says it's good. Back over to the Army team captain, Jonathan, eyeing up the shot. Corner hit, and Rock stonewalls it. There it is, bouncing backwards, rescued by Emma for her team. Jonathan with a little give and go, and it's returned to Army. It is back over to the Navy corner. Both teams are fighting for their lives here tonight. Nice rescue. Corner shot, and it's rolling! Will they lose it? Will they hold on to it? They hold on to it, much to the relief of their team. Here it is. And Jonathan turning it around, playing with the clock, back over to the corner. And here's the shot by Rock. Nice. Back over to Navy. Navy trying hard to keep it under control, eyeing the shot. Tricky spin. Navy gets the point. And that's the end of the ball game here tonight. Here is the final score, winning it tonight with a score of 14 to 13. 14 to 13, winning it by a single point, and getting 3,000 points for first place tonight is the Army team!
Oh boy.
What a close game! All right, let your team captain now as we get prepared for Tube Tug.
Tube Tug.
All right, so head to your team captain. Navy's going to be in the corner closest to the sound system. Army's on the opposite corner here this evening. Some of you men that are helping me, I need you to help me pull up the hoops. I'm sorry, not the hoops, but pull up the stakes on the end.
Oh, there you go.
I need my referees to help me if I could.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I could not see.
All right. I moved over here and you went from there to there.
Still, I couldn't see.
Oh, okay.
Okay, girls, tallest girl, be right here. Tallest girl's right
Tube tug. Oh, there's Mark.
Okay, Navy girls down here.
Mark Taylor. Oh, he's strong. There's everybody. I don't. Tim has got the makeup on for the what do you call that, camouflage makeup? That's what I'm trying to get at. And so is I think Seth Huffmaker too. Camouflage makeup. That's what I'm looking for. It's good that Mrs. Patty Taylor was telling, I think his name is Caleb Reed, the Minuteman team. I remember from last year with Matt Thrower. He, anyway, I was getting his attention and Patty was telling me that, yeah, he's been doing magic since 50-some years old. Yeah, June 10th, 1965. We call him Magic Bill. Yeah, 1980s. He said we went on the bus. This whole family went on the bus, and then we all got saved. He said, that's good. So your name is Neil? No, Bill. Bill. Hi, Bill. And before that, I was entertaining the Bosler's son, David. Patty was saying, did you entertain the Bosler kid? Yeah, I entertained David. Well, that's good. You ought to get connected to Joe Nero when we're on that mission trip. He has tons of magic tricks he does the Planet Salvation with. And I said, you ought to get in touch with them and video record. And I said, yeah. And I said, I video record and if I'm not doing magic tricks. Magic tricks.
All right, listen up very closely here this evening. This is Tube Tug, also known as Commando Tire Assault. Now let me explain to you all how this is going to work so that you know what you're supposed to be doing. In just a moment, I'm going to begin calling a series of numbers. As soon as your number is called and I say your gender, you will run out to the center, grab as many tubes as you can, and then drag them back across your line. So as soon as your number is called and the gender of the line you're in, you'll run out, grab as many tubes as you can, and drag them back across your line. Whoever gets more tubes than the other team in that particular tug will get a point added to their score. We will total the score at the end of the competition. Whoever has more points than the other team will get 3,000 points for first place. Now, there's a few things that you need to know. As you're going out, do not go until I call the gender. And for those of you confused by society, the two options are guy or girl, okay? And if you're confused, look at the person next to you, see what they are, and then that's the line that you're in, all right? So as soon as your number is called and I call the gender of the line that you're in, immediately run out, grab as many tubes as you can. Now, here's the thing. These are pretty durable tubes. You can do anything you want to these tubes. You can pull on these tubes. You can twist these tubes. You can even get inside and push on these tubes if you want, but you cannot, I repeat, you cannot play the man. There is no tackling, tripping, pushing, shoving in this competition tonight. We'll save all of that for Spoke Tackle tomorrow night. But you can do anything you want to these tubes, and as you're taking your tubes, you'll want to drag them back to your line. As you're dragging them back to your line, as soon as the tube touches the line, it is dead. It is no longer in play. If we can have referees, one standing on this corner, one standing on that corner, and just watching the line, put your hands in the air as soon as the tube touches the line. Now, when you take a tube to your line, you may want to turn around and look and see if there are any more still out there being fought over, because you can go back out and help your team with the rest. And I think that pretty much explains it. here this evening. Girls, you're tugging these two directions. Navy girls are tugging that way. Army girls are tugging that way. Avoid the hoops, please. These metal structures. Army guys are tugging that way. Navy guys are tugging that way. So I'm just curious, how many of you here in Tube Tug are going to be cheering for the Navy team? That's kind of what I thought. And how many of you here this evening in Tube Tug are going to be cheering for the Army team? That's kind of what I suspected as well. Here we go. We're going to begin calling the numbers here this evening. Here we go. First set of numbers. First set of numbers here this evening is going to be, remember, wait till I call the gender, is going to be numbers 1, 2, 3. Numbers 1, 2, 3. Numbers 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Guys! Anywhere on your side of the square you can drag it to. You don't have to drag it from the exact spot that you came from. Here we go, next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be numbers 2, 4, 6. Numbers 2, 4, 6. Numbers 2, 4, 6. Girls! Center now, next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be numbers 20, 22, 24, 20, 22, 24. Guys!
Way to go.
Going to be 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9. Guys! Navy gets another one. Here we go. All right, unbelievable. Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be 8, 10, 12, 8, 10, 12, 8, 10, 12. Girls! Navy gets another one. Navy's making a comeback. Here we go. Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be 11, 13, 15, 11, 13, 15, 11, 13, 15. Guys! Oh, nice bounce. Tug. Navy with another one. Here we go. Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be 7, 11, 16. 7, 11, 16. Girls! somebody's going to throw up. For sure, somebody's going to throw up. Uh-oh.
Hey, they're going to fight to the end.
Oh, boy. Somebody is definitely going to lose their dinner. Or their lunch.
Dinner over lunch.
All of the above.
All the above, I agree.
The entire
Bobby Boswell.
stomach. It's going to be on the field. Oh, boy. Here it comes.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, boy.
Patty says, come on, hurry up. Go, 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 go. Patty's a good cheerleader. Mark Taylor is getting all this on camera. He's like, this is good right here.
It's almost there.
World record trying to keep the two from going to each side.
Inching towards the finish line. Unbelievable effort by these ladies.
Yeah, I agree, Mark Taylor. I agree with you. Wow was right.
Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be 14, 16, 18. 14, 16, 18. 14, 16, 18. Guys! Army gets the point. It's about time. All right, next set of numbers. Next set of numbers here tonight is going to be numbers 1, 3, 5. Numbers 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. Girls! Navy hardly at it with a finger. All right, here we go. Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be, this one's going to be numbers 4, 6, 8. Numbers 4, 6, 8. And that's going to be guys!
Hold it? Yeah, I'll hold it.
Maybe gets another one. Wow, here we go. Next set of numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be
Where did Cunningham go?
and the 13. 13 and
Oh, there they are.
14. 13 and 14. Girls! Just a couple more sets of numbers here tonight. This next one is going to be 10, 12, 17, 10, 12, 17, and it's going to be guys! With another one. All right, here we go. Next set of numbers. This one is going to be numbers 9 and 15. 9 and 15. 9 and 15. Girls! One final set of numbers here in round number one. Here it is. This one is going to be numbers 19, 21, 23. 19, 21, 23. Guys!
Go for it.
All right, here is what we're going to do, team captains. Here's what I'm going to need for you to do. We're going to need for you to select. Actually, you know what? We got a little bit of time. We'll go through all these numbers again. How's that sound? Let's go through the numbers again. Here we go.
John Charles' youngest son. I can't think of his name right now.
Glasses on the field. Whose glasses were they? We got them. Very good. Glad we got that done quickly. Here we go. Next set of numbers. We're going to do this pretty crazy now. Numbers 1, 3,
There's Tim
5,
Brown
7.
with his camouflage makeup too.
3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Guys! Maybe with another one. Here we go, next set of numbers. This one's going to be numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. Numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Girls!
Who do you appreciate? Next set of numbers is going to be numbers 9, 11, 13, 15. 9, 11, 13, 15. Guys! Ouch. All that poor tube. Turn it to your girl's side. Oh boy. It is a tangle of people. Oh, I don't know about this one.
I'm going to have to call a stalemate if it doesn't move in 5.
Yep. 4, 3.
2, 1.
I don't know.
Good try, everybody. That's going to go to nobody. Unfortunately, that poor tube about died, and somebody's going to throw up. Here we go. Next set of numbers is going to be.
Oh, I like his talk. It cracks me up all the time.
9, 12, 15. 9, 12, 15. set of numbers is going to be, this one's going to be 17, 19, 21. 17, 19, 21. That's going to be Kai.
21. You win.
All right, here we go. Just a couple more here this evening. We're going to scramble through this as quickly as we can. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Guys!
Oh my goodness. 2 for the price of 1. So you took hands with the dirt before? You still haven't enough to split. Copperfield's got a lot of comedy lines. David says Cockton, Jewish, Christian, Lutheran, Copperfield. Who's connected to Andre Paul, Christian Lutheran. Yeah. Oh boy. 2 tug both ways.
Almost there.
Oh boy.
That is one mess of people. Oh, it's moving. It's moving.
I think it's just for them to be cooler weather and nice out. Perfect for a teen activity, soul-winning fun.
I'm going to call stalemate 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stalemate. Sorry for all that work for nothing. Back to your sides. Here we go.
Nice
Next
cool
set of
breeze.
numbers. Next set of numbers is going to be numbers 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Girls. All right, Navy again. Here we go. Next set of numbers is going to be numbers 10, 12, 14, 10, 12, 14. Guys! Nice catch.
Did someone put a banana peel on the ground? Everybody keeps slipping and sliding. Or an oil slick. Double 07 James Bond.
Almost there.
Jasper and Masculine, the war illusionist. Use stage illusions to save lives in war. With his magic, but to help him his magic game. Sometime down the line, unless they decided not to, they were planning to make a movie about it. But after 9/11, 2001, some of those war movies were kind of held back and are slowly showing up after everybody's calmed down.
Is going to be 10, 11, and 14. 10, 11, and 14. Good!
Go for it. I see John Radish.
Army gets it. All right, next set of numbers is going to be, this one is going to be
John Radish is right there. Hi, John. How you
13
doing?
and 16. Sorry, girls. 13 and 16. Girls! All right, here we go. Last two sets of numbers. This one's going to be 18 and 20. 18 and 20. 18 and 20. Guys! Army gets it. All right, one more set of numbers. One more set of numbers, and this one is going to be 22 and 24. 22 and 24. 22 and 24. Guys! Final score here tonight. As soon as I announce the final score, head to your team captain for your team meeting. Then we're going inside. Here's the final score for Tupug winning it tonight with a score of 17 to 7. 17 to 7, getting 3,000 points for first place was the Navy team. Head to your team captain for your team meeting, and then we're going inside. Mr. Rock, come and help me.
I must have miscalculated. I thought sure there was a lot of Army winning. I gotta find the. Oh, that's right. They gotta do their cheer. I forgot they gotta do their cheer. History, sports, TV trivia. I'm glad I gave Jim Van Gildern a TV trivia book. It helped him out, and illusion books to help him out in that area. And now I do DVDs. Oh man. Oh my goodness. That's a good rhyme, Caleb.
Just like that. Who are you? Get out of my face. We are the Navy and we're taking first place. Just go. Everybody, that's it. Done jumping jacks. You know the rhyme. I know I can be. The Navy Army. The Navy what? The Army baby. I know I can be. The Navy Army. The Navy what?
And the airplane vanished without a trace.
He sang about Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga,
Remember? And the other person? Not that one I told you you don't like. Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, and I don't forgot the other. Selena Gomez, you mean?
No, you don't like Selena Gomez. Ask him if he likes that.
A Pilot. I wonder if he likes Pilot.
And Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben.
What?
Tommy said, do you like Lady Gaga?
No.
No. You like Selena Gomez?
No.
Wizard of Waverly Place?
No, but I know what you like.
What?
Coffee shake.
Who? I don't like no coffee, Tommy's coffee shake.
Yeah, you do.
That's like taking a laxative or X-Lax.
Yeah, but hey, that was funny.
Yeah, very funny.
Oh, dang it. Hey, oh, that's on camera too, by the way.
Right here this evening. Now, another question here tonight, since you've got pizza on your lap, let me talk to you a little bit about pizza. How many of you here, when you order a pizza, you like to order it plain with cheese? How many of you are plain with cheese kind of people? All right, there's a few boring people in every crowd. How many of you here, when you order a pizza, you like it with sausage on it? Sausage lovers. How many of you here, you like it with bacon on it? How many of you here, when you order a pizza, you like it with pepperoni on it?
Hey.
How many of you, when you order a pizza, you don't care what kind of meat, just put a lot of it on it? Meat lovers, how many of you like your pizza
My
supreme?
dad Marshall likes to work.
You like a garden on your salad, on your pizza. How many of you here like pineapples and ham? How many of you here like stuffed crust pizza? Awesome. Unbelievable. Very good. We still got more pizza coming, so keep that hand in the air if you need some more pizza here tonight. And I think we're almost ready for our special presentation here this evening. But until we do, by the way, that is the Army Strong song that you hear right now. I don't know if that's going to be a telltale sign of what's going to happen here tonight. How many of you think that this night is going to be Army Strong? How many of you think this night is going to be Army Week? All right, pizza's still coming down the way. I think we're almost ready for our comedy here tonight. And very good. All right, thank you so much, Seconds Crew. We are covered, so fall back, Seconds Crew. Thank you so much for your service here this evening. By the way, everybody, give a round of applause for the Seconds Crew. They bring pizza to you. For a teenager, that's like breathing life into your soul. All right, very good. Okay, one more question here as we transition into our special presentation. How many of you here are fans of history? Do we have any history buffs here in the house? All right, quite a few. How many of you here, when it comes to history, you like the period of time that's known as the Middle Ages? How many of you are fans of the Middle Ages? All right, that's the times of kings and queens and knights and lords and ladies and all of that stuff. Well, here this evening, we're not going to bore you with an hour-long lecture on the Middle Ages, but what we are going to do is we are going to give you a Reader's Digest version of the Middle Ages.
Yeah, you're like
a simple
me.
comedy we've entitled A Royal Altercation.
Yeah, very funny. If someone will take it away. Tommy bought my beer. He paid back me. Technical difficulties.
Major technical difficulties. All right, just bring it in. Just bring it in, team members. Give a round of applause for a royal altercation. Here it comes.
Altercation. Royal altercation. I guess I gotta Stand up for this one. Good idea, Mark. Oh man.
What you've been doing with your hair. How do you get it to come out of your nose? Yeah, well, you're so dumb. You brought a spoon to the Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
And then we're going to shake hands after. Wow! At least I didn't wait at a stop sign for 3 weeks waiting for it to turn green.
Oh my goodness. He sure got a cold feeling.
When your mom dropped you off at school, she got a ticket for littering.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. Nice camouflage. Oh man. Yeah.
Well, you're so ugly, you make the blind kids cry. Don't bring plastic money in here!
Oh man.
Please be quiet. I find that
Oh no. Volcano. He's trying to wipe it off like a second thought. Oh man. Oh no. Oh man. Dirty carpool. Oh man. Like Willie and the Chopper Bunch. Dirty carpool. Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, you're so fat. They're gonna baptize you at SeaWorld.
Oh man. Oh, threw it. Should have a sound effect like a cartoon. Whee! Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh man.
All right, give a round of applause tonight for a royal altercation. We hope you enjoyed that here this evening. I'll need a couple men to come and help clean up this mess up here. But in the meantime, we're going to roll some garbage cans down the side aisles. If you could please hand your garbage towards the outside aisles, and we'll get your garbage taken care of here this evening. Thank you so much for joining us here for the war. We've got a whole lot more to come before our night is complete. Very good. All right, we hope you enjoyed that special presentation here tonight. This is a full service event. We spare no expense to bring you a good time, including our own personal humiliation. But here's what we're going to do. Hand your garbage. This is a final call for garbage. In fact, we are going to be doing a cleaner side contest by the end of the night here, so you want to make sure that all of your garbage is taken care of. If there's too much garbage on your side, the other team will get 1,000 points. So hand your garbage towards the nearest garbage can. This is a garbage run. Caitlin, I think there's some more garbage right here down the center aisle. Maybe bring that down the center. Do a garbage run. So hand all of your garbage towards the nearest garbage can here this evening. All right, very good. All right, here's what we're going to do in just a moment here. We're going to give credit where credit is due. And I know Pastor Taylor's nearby, but we want to have a word from our sponsor here this evening. I want you to know our team is delighted to come, to put up the posters, to go out and invite some young people like yourselves to the war to make it all happen. But behind the scenes, the war would not be possible without the hardworking folks here at Good News Baptist Church. We appreciate them bringing our team in and making it possible and free for you. Please give a big round of applause as Pastor Taylor comes into the front.
Hey, let's give a hand to the war team, too. They did a great job tonight. Hey, thank you for coming to Good News Baptist Church. If you don't have a church anywhere that you participate in on a regular basis, we'd like to invite you to Good News Baptist Church. Matter of fact, our Sunday school starts tomorrow at 9:30. If you don't have a Sunday school class, you'd like to hear the Word of God, we'd like to invite you out. And then tomorrow night, don't forget, tomorrow night is Spectacular. You don't want to miss that. Even though it's raining, okay, let me mention that. It might rain tomorrow night. Are we going to still have the war? Yes, we are. When does it start? Give me heads up here. 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. So thank you for coming to Good News Baptist Church. I want to turn it back over to Brother Bosler. Thank you.
Good. Please give a round of applause for Pastor Taylor and again for the folks at Good News Baptist Church. I'm very grateful for every one of you being here. But you know what? We're going to have in just a moment something that we call the GE, to give you an opportunity to show your appreciation for your team captain. But before we do that, I have 2 simple questions for you here tonight, and I think you know the answer to them. Question number 1 is this. How many of you here in the room like your team? Not too bad. Second question is like unto it. How many of you here in the room like your team captain? All right, then let's bring them in here tonight. First, coming all the way from Goldsboro, Maine, standing at 5'11", 160 pounds, the captain of the Navy team, Caleb Reed. Second coming from Sussex, Wisconsin, standing at 5'11" and a half, 140 pounds, the captain of the Army team, Jonathan Sigler. the end of the countdown will be minus 500 points. We're glad you're here, every person. In fact, we're so glad you're here, we're going to give 100 points to every single person who's here. So here's how we're going to add it up tonight. If you're here tonight, which you all are, go ahead and stand. Every one of you will be worth 100 points for your team. Team captains will get a count. All right, I won't say by how many, but I will say this. Army of the Balls! All right. All right, here we go. Next, every person that's got a team t-shirt, each team t-shirt will be worth 100 points here this evening. So if you got a team t-shirt, go ahead and stand. Go ahead and stand. Team captains will get the count here this evening. By the way, go ahead. I won't say by how many, but I will say this. Army of the Balls!
One, two, three.
By the way, if you bring those t-shirts...
1, 2, 3.
All right, you bring those t-shirts back tomorrow night, or if you buy a new one and have it tomorrow night, each team t-shirt will be worth 300 points tomorrow night. Might be worth the investment. Here's what we're going to do now. 5, 4, 3, 2. Any team talking at the end of the countdown will be minus 500 points, and 1. 500 points off of the Navy team. All right, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to move on to trivia. Here's how trivia is going to work. In just a moment, I'm going to begin asking a question. As soon as you think you know the answer to that question, you can go ahead and stand even if I'm not done asking the question. As soon as you stand, even if I'm in mid-sentence, I will stop asking the question and call the first person standing. If I call on you, give me your answer. If it's right, you'll get 500 points added to your score. If it's wrong, you'll lose 100 points for each incorrect guess, and then we'll move on to the next person who is standing. So our first question here tonight is going to come from NBA football. NBA football here, NBA basketball. Sorry, here's the question. I was looking at two different questions at the same time. What substance did LeBron James used to throw in the air before every game until he stopped? Incorrect. Looks like it. What substance did he used to throw in the air before every game? Looked like it, but that's incorrect. Right over here. Baby powder still incorrect. That's all right. Something you use on a big green board at school. At least you used to. Right over here. Chalk is correct. All right, next question. Now we're going to go to football. Here is the question. Which NFL team has the most Super Bowls? Right over here. Little kid in the back.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
That is correct!
1, 2, 3,
All right, next question. This one's going to come from Saturday morning cartoons. There you go. There's the question. 4, 3, 2. Which cartoon mallard keeps his money stored in a massive money bin in which... That's incorrect. Right over here. That is correct! All right, next question. This one's going to come from presidential history. 5, 4, 3, 2. Which U.S. president had the nickname Old Hickory? Right over here. What is it? Andrew Jackson is correct. All right, next question is going to come from geography. Here's the question. Geography. 5, 4, 3, 2, and what name did President Obama supposedly restore to the mountain commonly known as
Mount McKinley.
Look it up.
Starts with a D. Denali is correct! All right, here's what we're going to do at this time. It's now time for the famous cheering contest. Abby, if you can gather together for me 5 unbiased judges from the back, here's what we're going to do. We're going to allow the Army team to practice their cheer one time through seated. Go ahead and practice, Army. Army, Navy, go ahead and practice your cheer one time through seated. Judges, make your way up here to the front.
Who are you? Get out of my face! We are the Navy and we're heading first place!
All right, I need one more judge. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Any adult will do. Please hurry. Don't leave us hanging. I need an adult. Or a little girl. That'll work too. You can come on up here. All right, listen closely, judges. Here's what you're looking for. You're looking for which team is louder, which team has more people involved, and which team has more fervor and synchronization than the other team. The winner of tonight's cheering contest will get 1,000 points. On your mark. Good set, go! All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk down the line of you judges here this evening, and if you could please whisper into my ears quietly as you valued your life, which team you think did the best. That side is Army, this side is Navy. Try not to point if you value your future safety. Here we go. Judges, head to the back for your own safety, please. For your own safety, here were the results. It was 4-1. 4-1, and winning the cheering contest tonight for 1,000 points was the Navy Back to trivia. Next question. Here this evening, 5, 4, 3, 2. This next question is going to come from technology. Here's the question. What method of underwater detection is short for sound navigation? Right over here. That is correct! All right, next question. Here is the question from presidential history. Here's the question. Which president was so fat he got stuck in the white? Right over here. Incorrect. Who was up next, adults, who did not sit down again? All right here. Incorrect. Right over here. Taft is correct! All right. Next question. This one's going to come from history. Here's the question. Which female appeared on the 1999 U.S. dollar coin? What's that? Incorrect. Who was up first over here? Oh, okay, everybody else sat down. That is correct! All right, one more question before the big bonus question. This one's going to come from geography. Here's the question. What is the capital city of the Philippines? That is correct! All right, it's now time for the big bonus question. Tonight's big bonus question is just like any other question, except if you get it right, you'll get 1,000 points added to your score. You'll still lose 100 points for each incorrect guess. But actually, I almost forgot about something. So before I give you that question, there's one other thing I need to make you aware of. A few minutes ago, we did the cheering contest, and I don't know if you noticed, but while I was doing the cheering contest, I was taking a panning video of the crowd. During the cheering contest, here's what I'm going to do with that tonight. After everything's said and done, I'm going to post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter that video on a social media cheering contest. Here's what you need to do on Instagram. Check out the story. Look for @TheWarTeam, T-E-A-M, and vote in the poll. Get as many people as you can to vote in the poll. On Twitter, there will also be a poll. And look up @TheWarTeam, and then on Facebook, just look for the, let's see, this is going to be the Chesapeake Cheering Contest Round 1, and vote in the comments. But here's the thing, I don't want just you all to vote. I want you to get as many people as you can to vote. You can vote once per social media platform there, and whoever gets more votes as of 4 p.m. tomorrow will get 1,500 points added to their score. So make sure you remember that. Back to the big bonus question. Tonight's big bonus question is going to come from basketball. Here's the question. 5, 4, 3. What NBA basketball player was Defensive Player of the Year in? Incorrect. Good try though. Which NBA basketball player was Defensive Player of the Year in 1988? Michael Jordan is correct!
1, 2, 3.
All right, team.
1, 2, 3. Navy!
All right, team captains, here's what I'm going to need for you to do. Please select 2 individuals to guess a digit on the scoreboard here tonight. Please pick 2 individuals. Once they've been selected, they may stand at their seat. And in just a moment, I'll explain exactly what they need to do. It's going to be really simple. All you're going to need to do is give me a digit between 0 and 9. We've got 1, and we need a second one for both teams here tonight. And we got 1 and 2. And we got 1, and who's the second one? 2. All right. Listen closely. 5, 4, 3, 2. And on the top of the countdown will be minus 500 points. 2 and 1. 500 points off of the Navy team. That's killer. All right, here's what I'm going to need for you to do. I'm going to point to each of you 4, and I'm going to need for you to give me a digit between 0 and 9. If that digit is on your team's total score with everything tonight added up, you will get 500 points added to that score. If the number that you give me is not on the scoreboard, there will be no penalty, but you won't get any points either. The 2 zeros on the end of the scoreboard do not count, but it is possible for there to be other zeros in the score. So we're going to go right over here first. Please give me a digit between 0 and 9. There is no 7. Good try. Have a seat. Right over here, please give me a digit between 0 and 9. There is no 4. Good try. Have a seat. Right over here, digit between 0 and 9. There is no 3. Have a seat. Right over here, digit between 0 and 9. There is no 5. All right, team captains, please bring it in. Tonight's winner will get bragging rights for 24 hours. We'll see who ends up getting those bragging rights here this evening. So our first digit on the scoreboard here this evening for the Army team is going to be a 1. Our first digit on the scoreboard here this evening for the Navy team is going to be a 1. Second digit on the scoreboard here this evening for the Army team is going to be a 0. Second digit on the scoreboard here this evening is going to be a 3.
1, 2, 3, Navy!
All right, final digit on the scoreboard here this evening for the Army team is going to be a 1. And the final digit on the scoreboard here this evening for the Navy team is going to be a 1 or a 0. What do you think? You know what's funny, as I was holding those two numbers up, it was kind of ironic because that would have been the difference between the scores had the Navy team not got into talking penalties. So congratulations to those of you that were talking. You lost the whole night for your team. Way to go. But I want you to know Army team's not complaining. They're pretty excited here this evening. They say, hey, we'll take it, right? But I also want you to know this week ain't over yet. We've got a whole lot more to come. In fact, the point spread is very close with only 700 points separating first and second place. First and last place, that is. And tomorrow night, boy, we got some amazing competitions for you. Tomorrow night, we're going to be having basketball with the 4-foot ball. Okay, this ball's so big, I'm convinced it's what put Michael Jordan in retirement. In fact, you've heard of Shaquille O'Neal in the Shaq attack. This ball will attack Shaq back. It's so big. LeBron can't dunk this ball. We're looking forward to that tomorrow night. Now, in addition to that, tomorrow night we're going to be competing in spoke tackle. Okay, it's been nicknamed America's roughest race. Hey, you know how it is in gym class when that snot-nosed girl who's faster than you and she knows it pulls out in front of you and sneers at you over her shoulder like you're some maggot or something? Well, you know what you want to do, right? You want to grab her by that ponytail and smash her to the ground. Well, guess what? In spoke tackle, you can. In fact, you can body check, takedown, clothesline, tackle, trip, push, shove, flying tackle, slide tackle, arm drag, hip toss, just about anything goes. It makes football look like synchronized swim with your grandma, okay? In fact, we'll raise the guys with the guys and the girls with the girls. That way the guys don't get hurt, okay? And we'll race you with folks your own size so you don't have to worry about some 500-pound Bahama mama coming up and sitting on you. Okay? So that's coming up tomorrow night. And by the way, I just got to tell you this. Pastor Taylor mentioned it's going to be raining a little bit tomorrow night. Spoke tackle is amazing in the rain. It was made for the rain, so you're going to get the real deal experience. Make sure you come, but don't just you come. Bring your friends, your enemies, and if you bring your enemies, put them on the other team so you can cream them and take them out in spoke tackle. We're looking forward to that tomorrow night. Well, it's been really good here this evening. Don't forget about the social media cheering contest. Look us up. Look up the Chesapeake Cheering Contest Round 1 at the War Team. 5, 4, 3, 2, and it's been a good night here this evening. And what we're going to be doing here at this time is we're going to be turning the corner from the points and the competition part of our evening. to the real meaning, the real purpose of our event. I think most of you are aware, we try to make a point to make you aware when we invite you that our event is not just about fun, though fun is a huge part of what we do. We take it very seriously to give you a good time. We know we had a little bit of technical glitches here and there tonight, but we trust you had a good time. But you know what? Even more than that, we take it incredibly seriously, the topic that we're about to turn to. In fact, it's this topic that causes us to leave our homes, to travel across the country at great personal sacrifice, to be honest with you, to come into a new place every week. Now, what I need to ask you to do to help us turn this corner and make this transition is just two things. I think you can handle this. Number one, if you could please make sure your cell phone is either silenced or off. If a cell phone goes off audibly from here on out, it will be a 2,000-point deduction off of your team's score. So please make sure your cell phones are either silenced or off. If the cell phone makes a noise, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to point you out. I'm not going to say anything, but it will be reflected in the points tomorrow night. Second thing I need you to do to help me out is if you could please stay in your seat and refrain from talking to one another from here on out tonight, just out of respect. Now here's what's going to be happening as we turn the corner. In just a moment, I'm going to be having the Navy captain, Caleb. He's going to be coming and sharing a story about when he came face to face with the topic we're going to be dealing with here this evening, the decision he made and how it changed his life. When he's done sharing his story, Jonathan's going to come and join him, and the two of them are going to sing a message in song. Now, the song they're going to sing, it may not be like music you're used to listening to, but just listen to the words and let the words speak to their heart. And also a little disclaimer, they've been screaming their guts out all night, so their voices are definitely not recording quality here this evening. But if you could listen to the words and let the words speak to your heart, then when they're done, I'm going to come and close the night with a message from the Bible. So Caleb, why don't you come and share with us your story?
All right, guys. Well, basically what we're going to talk about tonight is a decision that every person has to come face to face with at some point in their life. Some choose to put it off till later. Some wisely choose to do it earlier. And tonight we want to give you that opportunity. When I was in elementary school, we were living in the state of New York. My dad was actually a pastor. But as just a young boy, I became concerned with something that I'd heard of, something I'd read in the Bible. It was a place called hell. A place that I was fearful of. It scared me. And I knew even as an elementary student, I'd already done things that were wrong. Maybe I hadn't murdered anyone per se, but I knew I was a sinner. And I knew enough to know that the Bible said that there's a penalty for sin. And I became fearful about it. And I went to my dad, and he was a pastor at the time, and he opened up the Bible, and he showed me one of the most glorious and exciting messages I've ever heard. And young people, it doesn't have to be fearful any longer. Because he explained from God's word that though I was a sinner, Jesus Christ came to this earth because he was my friend and gave me salvation, cleansed my sin. And now, young people, I have a confidence because based upon God's word, I know someday when I die, I will be with Jesus in heaven. And young people, you can ask the question, what is life all about? Well, is it about money? Boy, here in America, materialism is a big thing. But young people, if you don't know who Jesus is, someday you will die and go to a grave, and there's no U-Haul truck behind the hearse with all your belongings and all your riches. It really comes down to what are you going to do with Jesus? What will you do with Jesus? And Jonathan and I are going to sing a song, and again, I want you to just listen to the words, because these words talk about Jesus Christ, my personal Savior, he who redeems my soul. So we're going to sing this song for you.
What will you do with Jesus, he who redeems your soul? What will you do with Jesus, he who can make you whole? Sovereign of all the ages, Savior of Calvary, what will you do with Jesus, Calvary, humbly before him bow. What will you do with Jesus? Call on his mercy now.
All right, well, we're very excited that you've decided to join us here this evening, but I want you to know something. Sorry, we've been having all kinds of technical difficulties this evening. Make sure that's all. You know, Caleb asked the question, what is it that you are living for? And I want you to know you really could answer a whole lot of different ways to that question. What's life all about? And you know, you all are faced with a lot of different questions at this age in life. Where am I going to go to college? What am I going to do with my life? Who am I going to marry? These are very important questions because these questions will not only determine your priorities, they will determine the rest of your life. And you know, though as we think of those questions, Caleb, I'm going to need you to come and just speak this down just a little bit. As we think of those questions, as important as they are and as much as they will determine what's going to happen to you for the rest of your life, the question the guys sang about and the question that I want to preach to you here about tonight is so much more important. Because the question I'm going to be posing to you in my message is not just something that's going to impact the rest of your life. It's something that's going to impact the rest of your eternity. The question is, what will you do with Jesus? You know, I begin every single one of my war campaigns with exactly the same message. Some of you were here 3 years ago when I preached the war, and I just want you to know, I'm going to be preaching exactly the same message. I preach this message all over the world, and I have seen the fact that the simplicity and the power of this simple message is one that I've literally seen change thousands of teenagers' lives in my short experience with what I'm doing. I want to start off my story with my message with just a little story. His name was George. George Wilson was his name. He was an average person, just like you and just like me, except something happened that history records that wasn't usual at all. George evidently, at one point in his life, ran across someone who worked for the United States Postal Service. This person had something in his satchel that George wanted. The reason why I know this is because George tried to steal that package. Well, if you know anything about those that work for the United States Postal Service, you'll know that they do not give up their packages without a fight. And a fight is exactly what George got there that day. The two men tussled over the package, and by the time the fight was done, George had won. The mailman had lost. In fact, the mailman had lost so badly, he was lying on the ground dead. George had just committed murder. George knew that he was a wanted man, so he began to run from the authorities and really run for his life. But it wasn't long before the long arm of the law caught up to him and threw him in jail, where he awaited his trial. The trial came and the trial went. It was pretty obvious from all the evidence, from all the eyewitness testimonies, that George had indeed committed murder. So it was no surprise to anyone when the judge stood before the people and announced the verdict that George was guilty. His sentence, again, surprised no one. His sentence was he was to be hanged. They took George down to the portion of the jail that's known as death row, which is where people who are awaiting execution spend their days in the jail cell. George sat in that jail cell wondering what it would feel like to die by a noose. Well, the day came when he heard the door open at the end of the hallway. He heard footsteps come down that hallway and stop just outside of his cell door. The door opened, and he expected that he'd be looking at the executioner, but instead he was looking at a sharply dressed man in a sport jacket. Not exactly what you'd expect an executioner to be dressed in. George was a little confused as the man stepped inside of his cell, reached inside of that sport jacket and pulled out a piece of paper and held it in front of George's face. George looked from the piece of paper up from that man's face down to that piece of paper, and as he read across the top, he read that it said, "From the desk of the President of the United States of America."
He realized he was looking at a presidential pardon, signed by the president of the day, Andrew Jackson. He knew that this piece of paper, delivered from the desk of the U.S. president, would guarantee his freedom. But you know, before I tell you exactly what George did with that piece of paper, I want to ask you a question. Now, I don't want you to answer me out loud. I just want you to consider in your heart, if you found yourself in a situation like George, one where you had committed crimes that were worthy of execution. You were on death row awaiting that execution, and someone held in front of you a piece of paper that would guarantee your freedom. Again, don't answer me out loud, but just consider in your heart, what would you do? What would you do? You know, there might be a number of different responses, and might be a number of different answers as to what you would do with that pardon. But you know, I think if we were honest, we would all admit that one thing would be the same in every one of us. It makes us very uncomfortable to place ourselves in George's shoes, doesn't it? We feel uncomfortable. I mean, most of us here, we don't like to think of ourselves as criminals, right? We don't like to think of ourselves as bad enough to deserve execution. We don't like to think of ourselves as murderers. In fact, I think most of us, if we were to self-assess how we were, we'd probably say, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm not that bad. And I think for us to place ourselves in the shoes of someone who was a murderer, who was awaiting execution for that murder, just makes us uncomfortable. Because we, in our minds, we think, yeah, that's not what I am. And I think you probably take comfort in the fact that though you might imagine yourself for just a couple minutes in that circumstance, you don't have to imagine it for long because you don't think you are in the same situation as George. But you know, as you read the Bible, I'm going to read to you two simple Bible verses here this evening. I think it's very important for us not to assess how we think of ourselves based on our own opinions. We need to base our assessment on what God says. Because in John chapter 3 and verses 16 and 18, the scripture says very simply, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him," get this, "should not perish, but have everlasting life." 2 verses later, verse 18, it says, "He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." You know, just those two simple verses have something different to say about us than I think many times we say or think about ourselves. You know, you take those two verses plainly for what they say, what you'll conclude is this: you and I, in our default state, are condemned. And if something doesn't change before the day we die, we will perish. We will experience the condemnation of God for all of eternity. You see, the fact of the matter is, young people, while you and I might feel uncomfortable placing ourselves in George's shoes, and we might like to say that, oh, but that's not my situation, the fact of the matter is, when you look at God's Word, you find it actually is your situation. And you know what? I'm here this evening not to so much just share the bad news, but I'm here this evening to present to you a message entitled, "The Simple Solution for a Sentenced Sinner." I've got two simple points here this evening I want to drive home, and then I'll let you go. Maybe you're here, maybe you've never heard anything like this before, and maybe you're here, and maybe you might argue the point and say, now hold on a second, preacher. How can you say that I am a sentenced sinner if you don't even know me? You don't even know where I come from. You have not seen my life. How can you say that I am a sentenced sinner? I'm not that bad. Come on, preacher. That's being judgmental. Well, no, I'm just actually telling you what God's Word says. I'm leaving the judgment up to Him. I'm just agreeing with what He says. But you know, that does bring up the question, why is it that we are condemned? The verse that we read says that we're condemned, but it doesn't necessarily say why. And I'd like to answer that question with my first point. And my first point is a very simple, straightforward answer to that. And the answer is this: your sin has earned for you a severe sentence. Let me say that again. Your sin has earned for you a severe sentence. You say, preacher, what is sin anyway? I recognize that a lot of people argue over what sin is and what it's not. And I'm not here so much to argue the point as I am to give you God's definition given in the Bible. In 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4, the scripture says, sin is the transgression of the law. Now, the word transgression is not a word we typically use in our day-to-day conversation, but it simply has the idea to cross the line. Okay, I think most of you here are familiar with the game of basketball. We had a couple trivia questions on basketball. You know in the game of basketball, there's a court. And on the court, there are a number of different lines and circles. And those lines mean different things. In some circumstances, if you cross the line, you lose possession of the ball. Under certain circumstances, if you cross another line, you don't get the point for your shot. If you cross this line, you only get 2 points, not 3. Understand that in the game of basketball, when you cross the line, the whistle sounds and the penalties coming your way. And in the same way, the Bible says sin is the transgression of the law. In other words, the laws and lines on the court. And whenever you and I defy those laws that God has given, whenever we cross the line, whether intentional or unintentional, can I say it this way, the whistle sounds and a penalty is coming. So it's like this. Sin is whenever you break God's law. Here's one of God's law. I'm going to talk about a couple of them here this evening. God's law says this: thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. You know what it means to take God's name in vain, right? It's when you say OMG, except you fill them in. You know what I'm talking about? It's when you say oh my, and you put God's name in there, and you're not talking to him. You're not talking about him. You're just using it as an expletive. You're using it like a swear word. By the way, I heard this here this evening. When you take Jesus' name and when you use it like a swear word, you're taking God's name in vain. Did you know that Jesus is God? Jesus said before Abraham was, I am. He said, I and the Father are one. John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I want you to know Jesus is the Word. And when you use Jesus' name like a swear word, when you use it inappropriately, you're breaking God's law. You're committing crimes against God. And in fact, that command has a promise attached to it. It says, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. You know what that means? That means you take God's name in vain, the verdict's already in, Bub. Guilty. You're guilty. See, you commit the crime. You're a criminal in God's eyes. Friends, the whistle has sounded. There's a penalty coming your way. Here's another one of God's commands. The command says this. It says, honor thy father and mother. Honor your parents. And you know what? God expects you and he expects me to treat our parents with reverence and respect. You say, he expects you to do that? Yeah, I'm 33 years old. God still expects me to honor my mom and dad. You may say, hey, listen, my parents aren't worthy to be honored. God doesn't say honor them if they're worthy. God says honor them because I told you to do it. You know, some of you got a major problem with mom and dad. Your mama, she just can't seem to stop henpecking you, or so you think. She just constantly restricts you. You don't like it. Maybe your dad is never satisfied with anything you do, and you feel like, man, if the guy would just come watch me play ball, maybe then I would give him some honor. But I want you to know your dad doesn't have to earn your honor. God told you to do it, whether he deserves it or not. You see, you don't honor your parents because they are right or because they are honorable. You honor your parents because it is right for you to do so. And let me tell you, friend, whenever you roll your eyes at mom and dad, you've broken God's law. Whenever you stomp your feet or slam the door because you don't like what you were told to do, you've broken God's law. Whenever you throw a fit or play the silent treatment against your parents, you've broken God's law. Whenever you get up in their face and tell them what for, you've broken God's law. By the way, you don't have to be in front of them to dishonor your parents. Some of you do it with your friends behind their backs. Some of you do it at school in the locker room. You talk about your old man, your old woman, and all the things they won't let you do. And I want you to know when you do that, you've broken God's law. You've committed crimes against God. You're a criminal in God's eyes. Well, you might smirk at your friends next to you in the back row, but friends, I'll tell you what. You won't be smirking when you stand before God and he reads your verdict as guilty. Here's another one of God's commands. It's the seventh commandment. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, adultery, I think most of us here have grown up enough to know that adultery is when a married person cheats on their spouse. It's when a person who's pledged their faithfulness, who's pledged their heart, their mind, and their body to one, and when they break that pledge and they give their heart, mind, or body to someone else. And I think all of us would say, maybe you in your home, maybe your home has been destroyed through adultery or divorce, and you understand how hurtful those things are. And so you might stand up and you might be all for this point. So maybe you're here and you're thinking, preacher, I thought this was an event for teenagers. Why are you preaching to us about adultery? I don't know what the rules are in Virginia, but I don't think any of you are married. You say, preacher, we're not married. We can't commit adultery. Phew. Man, you got me with those first two, but you were not getting me on that one because I am not married, and so I can't commit adultery, so I can just sit back and relax during this point. Actually, no, you can't, because Jesus, he had something to say about this command in Matthew chapter 5. In Matthew 5, Jesus said this. He said, you have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that if a man look on a woman to lust after her, he hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. You know what Jesus is saying there? He's saying if you look at a woman with lust, you are an adulterer. Okay, can I connect the dots for you? You look at pornography on your phone, God calls you an adulterer. You look at dirty videos on YouTube, God calls you an adulterer. And by the way, if you girls think this is just something for the guys, I want you to know you can lust over the latest pop star and a poster in your room. You can lust over the protagonist in some filthy romance novel, whether it's called Christian or not. Listen, just because you're not stimulated in the same way doesn't mean you can't be an adulterer at heart. I'm talking to some of you guys, you got a problem. You got a major problem. Feels like everywhere you turn, you got to erase the history, hide the magazines, or hide whatever you were doing, turn the screen just so people can't see what you're doing. And I want you to know, God knows. God knows. Maybe you're pretty good at hiding your tracks. Maybe you've got the whole system figured out, and you're free and clear, and nobody knows, or so you think. But the Bible says the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. You see, you might think that no other human being has a clue, and you're right. Maybe they don't, but God knows. And in fact, in the book of Revelation, chapter 20, the Bible says, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. The dead were judged out of the things which were written in those books according to their works. Do you realize God has a log of every single sin you've ever committed? Everything done in public, everything done in private, everything done in the daylight, everything done in the darkness of the night in your bedroom. Friends, God knows every sin. God knows every dirty website you've ever been on, and He's got a far better history recorded than Google does. Friends, I want you to know God's going to bring up every single one. And guess what? Guess what the sentence is going to be for every single infraction? Guilty. Because you see, you got to understand something. It's not just a whole lot of sin in the life that gets you condemned. It's just one. The Bible says, whosoever shall keep the whole law yet offended in one point is guilty of all. Some of you here, you think, man, I'm better than so-and-so. Who cares if you're better than so-and-so? The fact of the matter is you've still broken God's law, and that means you're still guilty in God's eyes. Listen, you might be better than half the people in this room or half the people in your school. But if you've broken God's law even once, the fact of the matter is you're guilty. You're condemned. In fact, regarding that last point that I made about adultery, some of you here, your problem is not just what you look at. It's not just what you think about, because some of you have gone beyond the looking and the thinking, and you've actually committed the deed, if you know what I mean. I'm talking to some of you, you've allowed yourself to cross the point of no return. You've allowed yourself to engage in premarital sex. And I want you to know, God calls that the sin of fornication. Frankly, I don't give a rip what your health teacher says, but what I do care about what it is what God says. Because God doesn't say, just be safe. God says, don't touch. Back in Hebrews chapter 13, the scripture says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. And yes, that means what you think it means. But it goes on and says, but whoremongers and adulterers, God will judge. You know what a whoremonger is? Somebody who makes a lifestyle out of sexual sin. An adulterer is not just somebody who cheats on their spouse. It's anyone who looks with lust in their heart. Friends, what that verse is saying is really simple. Listen, you go to the pool to feast your eyes on the flesh. God's saying right there, God's going to judge you. You look at pornography in print or in pixel, God says, listen, friends, God's going to judge you. You play fast and loose with your boyfriend or girlfriend, God says he's going to judge you. Friends, these are not my words or my opinions. These are God's words and God's opinions. And he is the judge of all the earth. And friends, I want you to know something. He's going to do what is just and what is right. You see, the problem is that your sin has earned for you a severe sentence. You say, okay, preacher, what is the sentence?